Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's we're going to be talking about the all-new 2024 GMC Sierra Heavy Duty and how this could shake up things within the heavy-duty truck market. First and foremost though, as always, if you're going to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get into it. Now, a lot of people thought that the Sierra 2500 and 3500 were going to be redesigned for the 23 model year, but obviously that's not what has happened, because you can go into a GMC dealer right now and purchase a 23 2500 or 3500 and find that, well, nothing has changed with the trucks since the 2020, well, actually, yeah, 2020 model year is when they released the new version of the truck. And so, yeah, we're still a little bit of a ways out. It looks like it's going to be 2024 for the model year, so probably late 2023 is when we will get pretty much the truck like fully released to the public. So again, quite some time for release. But with that being said, we do have quite a bit of information on this new quote-unquote redesigned Sierra HD, and I would call it more of a heavy refresh rather than a redesign, because it's getting similar treatment as what the Sierra 1500 got, basically. So for the 2022 model year with the 1500, they slightly changed the exterior styling, and then they seriously overhauled the interior, and the HD is going to have a similar thing happen to it. So you're going to get a more flush looking front end similar to the Sierra 1500. So again, it's still going to have its own unique HD styling, but it's going to look, everything's going to be a little bit more flush, a little bit more modern looking, similar to the half ton. So if you don't like that look, then I guess you should get a Sierra now. And then the big thing will be the interior. So just like the Sierra 1500, completely reworked interior with nicer materials and just more material use throughout, like in terms of the nice materials, right? So the dash is covered, nice armrests, nicer seats, the new big infotainment system, digital gauge cluster. And what I've noticed with these Sierras is it looks like the digital gauge cluster is probably standard equipment, because I have yet to see a Sierra without the full digital gauge cluster, even ones that were, quote unquote base models. And so it looks like with the HD, that'll probably be the case as well. So you just get a little bit more standard equipment compared to the Chevy Silverado counterpart. And so again, just all the changes from the half ton are going to happen to the HD from an interior perspective. So if you like those changes, then yeah, it'll for sure be worth the wait. Now, from a mechanical standpoint, it doesn't look like a ton is going to change with the truck, similar to what they did with the 1500, where they basically just changed the sheet metal a little bit on the outside and then changed the interior. The HD is going to have similar treatment. So we're going to have pretty much the same suspension, the same, just like the same truck, basically, from, like I said, from a mechanical standpoint. So don't expect any huge changes from that perspective. But there has been a lot of talk about the powertrains changing for the 2024 model year. So there is a lot of talk about the gas 6.6 liter V8 changing. So right now it produces right around 400 horsepower roughly. I think it's like 401, and then torque is like 465. And that's, really solid for an HD truck, because that's super competitive with like Ram 6.4 Hemi. And it's actually pretty competitive with Ford's 7.3 Godzilla V8, because that engine, although it produces more horsepower, more like 430, and a little bit more torque, I think it's like 475 pound-feet, still within pretty close range. But Chevy definitely wants to one-up Ford, and so they are going to increase the power figures on the 6.6 gas V8 to make it so that it exceeds what Ford has with that 7.3 Godzilla V8. Now, there is a chance that Ford might increase the power figures for the new Super Duty that's being released for the 2023 model year, and so you can be sure that GM is waiting to see what Ford does with the new Super Duty before they really officially release anything with their new HD truck, because again, they want to make sure that they compete with Ford from a power perspective. Even though GM is actually doing a really good job with their HD trucks from a sales perspective, they want to make sure that the power is there, because it's been years since GM's been able to say that they are the best with anything from a power perspective with their trucks, because Ram right now has the most torque in class, and then Ford has the most horsepower in class, and Ram and Ford have basically been just going back and forth having the most torque in class. The thing that's funny though is all the trucks with a two-wheel drive dually pretty much all tow about the same amount, and so like these torque wars are, as cool as they are, they're almost kind of pointless, because we're already at the point where they have so much torque that yeah, you're limited by, you know, payload and the fact that they aren't commercial, you know, full-on commercial vehicles at this point, right? They're not semi-trucks. That's what's limiting us at this point. It's not the power, frankly. But anyways, we will see a revised version of the 6.6 gas V8 to be more competitive with Ford, and we are going to see a heavily revised version of the Duramax diesel. This is the big news that everyone's been talking about, and we don't have anything official from GM yet because, again, they're waiting to see what Ford does with the new Powerstroke, because Ford is surely going to update the Powerstroke for the 2023 redesign with the Super Duty, and so time will tell. But it's pretty safe to assume that GM is probably going to have to pump at least over 500 horsepower into this powertrain, because Ford's already at 475, and if Ford ups that, then yeah, just so close to 500 that the new Duramax is most likely going to have over 500 horsepower. And then from a torque perspective, since Ram's already at 1,075 pound-feet, if Ford one-ups Ram, then for GM to be able to one-up Ford, they're surely going to have to go over 1,100 pound-feet. And so we're going to see a huge increase in the torque figure for the new GMC Sierra. And obviously, again, this video is dedicated to Sierra, but also the Chevy Silverado, because we're going from 910 pound-feet to over 1,100 pound-feet, which will be absolutely insane. But like I said, the sad news about this is that, yeah, I mean, I guess it technically will probably pull better because you'll have a lot more torque, but it's not like the capacity is going to increase. And so the current capacity with what we have on the truck right now is pretty much going to stay the same. So like the 20,000 pounds that I see on the little sticker within the door jamb on the trucks is probably not going to change. And I'm talking about a single rear wheel, four-door truck that is pretty well equipped, like a Denali, for example. And so I don't imagine that's really going to increase all that much. But that being said, I mean, still the headline figures are really important overall. And so I think that these changes are definitely needed, because at this point, the only truck that really feels solid within the HD segment, I'm not talking about from a towing capacity perspective, I'm just talking about like from a modern feel perspective, is the Ram. Because if you get into a Ram 2500 or 3500, like you feel like you're in a nice modern truck, especially with like the limited package, like that is such a nice truck. You compare that to a GMC Sierra Denali and the, you know, Ford F350 Platinum, for example, and yeah, those trucks, like, they're nice, but they just don't compare. And so obviously the changes that are happening with Ford, that'll definitely bring things up, but especially with GM, these changes will help out quite a bit to make it so that they can stand out a little bit more from an interior perspective. And so, yeah, I want you guys to let me know what you think about the new GMC Sierra 3500. And if you've stayed this long, I have one last bit of information that I saved for those of you that will actually watch the video all the way through. And that is the fact that we are finally going to be getting a GMC Sierra 2500 and 3500 AT4X. Yes, that is correct. The AT4X package that you can get on the half-ton will now be transferred over into the heavy duty. We don't have a bunch of information on it yet, but what it looks like is it's actually probably not going to use Multimatic shocks. It's going to use a different shock system, and it'll work better with, well, an HD truck. But it will have bigger, beefier tires compared to an AT4. It'll most likely have front and rear lockers. And so we'll finally have something that's closer to a Power Wagon competitor. Now, it probably won't have the sway bar disconnect that the Power Wagon has. And it obviously won't have a solid front axle because the current GMC Sierra HD has independent front suspension. But still, it'll be a really cool off-road truck. And so let me know what you guys think about that. And with that being said, I'll see you.